Yes, ladies and gentlemen, Friday night again on the bus, and it's time to get that Friday feeling. The games are coming thick and fast, and yes, this weekend Celtic have a trip to Kilmarnock for us to look forward to. So, as you can see, tonight's Friday night team, I was supposed to be joined by Logue Senior. He's not here tonight. He was on standby basically, and we don't know where in the world he is right now. He's flying somewhere, jet setting again. So. Logue Jr. has stepped in. David Logue, hello. Welcome back to the Friday night. It's been a wee while since you've been on, mate.
I know. Fridays have become busy again, so I do apologise. I'll try and get on as much as I can, but
All right.
I'm due you one, Phil. So I've jumped on. I'm
That's
due
all
you
it
a
was,
favour.
mate. No, it's good to see you, mate. And the good news is for both of you, there's no quizzes tonight because you've done your quiz. You've done it already. You've passed your test, so you don't need to worry about by the numbers quiz. I'll save that one for when Johnny Logue next turns up because he's next on my hit list. And speaking of by the numbers and the quiz, the man here at the bottom, the wise man of the bus, and that is why he is the wise man. He's currently top of the table in that one. Canada's favourite Tim, as I always like to say, it is Liam the Punk Duck Warlord Greenlaw, my usual sort of Friday night companion. It's kind of bus heritage that you and I usually on the Friday night together, and here we are again on a Friday night. Liam, how you doing, mate?
I plan my meetings this week around this, around being on the bus on a Friday. I enjoy it, you know. It's a good way to start the afternoon. It's always like a start to the weekend for me as well, you know.
Yeah.
Usually I just go and have a pint or something, you know, and usually quite a great way to stay at the afternoon. But good. Top of the table.
Top of the table. Speaking of time, that Alan Rob's actually, what time are you on? You're 8 hours behind us in Vancouver, so it'll be 4 minutes past 1 in the afternoon just now.
Aye.
Yeah, it is indeed. Aye, so 8 hours. He's on the West Coast time zone over in North America. But yeah, he's here though. He's always here, and we're glad to have him on. And before we get started, folks, obviously, I just remind all the viewers, remember to do all that good stuff. Helps out the bus massively. Obviously, hit the like button. Helps out the old algorithms, I like to say. Gets us recommended in more people's inboxes on YouTube because YouTube likes active channels. Obviously, hit that subscribe button if you've not done it yet. And remember, hit the bell notification so you'll be reminded when the bus is on the road. Also, get involved in our chat tonight, our comments section. I always appreciate it. Bring up comments as we go along and interact with you. And of course, share the link of the Bhoys Bus far and wide on whatever social media platform you wish. And of course, head over to piesports.com. That logo that's up there next to David Logue's head. Go over there and use this code BUS1888 to get 12.5% off your order on your tasty pastry treats. And with all that said and done, guys, I guess we can get going, guys, with what we usually do in the Friday film, looking forward to the game. But before we do, I do have a trivia question, but it's not an answer that I actually know. So as a collective, we're going to try and figure it out, guys, because something interesting happened through the week at the Hibs game. We had two players that started the game together with the same surname. And I'm trying to figure out when was the last time that happened. So say somebody in the chat might know. I originally thought it was McStay because William and Paul and their other brother Raymond all played for Celtic at the same time. But I don't think it is. I think there might be one somewhere else. I don't think it's as far back as the McStays. But yeah, if anybody in the chat, maybe we'll figure it out together as a group. We'll try and work it out. But it was one that was in my head when I was watching the game on Wednesday night going, Johnson and Johnson, both of them starting together. And I was like, that doesn't happen too often. So I was wondering who the last pairing with the same second name was to start a game for Celtic. So yeah, I'll look out for things in the chat tonight if you throw in suggestions, try and figure it out. See, I think it might be McStay and McStay, but that's quite a while back we're talking. I think there must be others between then. Liam, any come to your mind right away, just off the top of your head?
Liam Miller and Kenny Miller, but that's probably about 5 years.
They missed each other a wee bit. Liam Miller left the year before Kenny Miller joined, but it's a good shout. It's a good honourable shout. But
was another dude with a backup player named Brown in the team?
Oh, could it be Mark Brown, the goalkeeper, and Scott Brown? That's a shout. That's quite recent. Okay, so the moment we've got Brown and Brown, that one, they must have started at some point. I know Brown did have a wee run of games in goal during Strachan's third season. There was a period where he got a few games. So I wonder if they started together. Okay, well, we'll try. Well, Sam Fan Celtic was saying Peter Lawwell and Mark Lawwell. Well, I guess that could maybe. Yes, there's a winner right there.
Double trouble there.
Oh, there's definitely trouble on that one. But yeah, I'll look out for any suggestions in chat. But I think at the moment, Brown and Brown might be the front runner for the answer. But I say we'll try and get around to find out what it is. But yeah, let's talk about the Kelly game. Obviously coming up now. Normally when we do this, we talk about our sort of predictions for the team and whatnot, and it's usually quite a cut and dry process. David, it's quite a sort of not really much has changed, but things have changed recently quite drastically. We saw through the week that Rodgers wasn't messing about after that scathing post-match interview against St Johnston, and he did bring in some changes, and obviously we usually start at the back. So through the week we obviously saw Cameron Carter-Vickers go off at half-time. That just fills so many fans with dread. And Nat Phillips came on and did not look too clever at all, which shocked me, because up to that point I always felt that Phillips, he's all right. I didn't think he was outstanding, but at the time I was just kind of like, it's all right, he's perfectly serviceable. But my word, he was all over the shop on Wednesday night. We're obviously going down to Kilmarnock. We've had a bad result there already this season. It's a plastic pitch. And in previous times of Brendan Rodgers in his first spell, he wasn't too clever with his teams on plastic pitches. We know that over the years we've had players with persistent injuries avoid plastic pitch games. Cameron Carter-Vickers, do you think he'll be getting the start? And if he doesn't, is it going to be Nat Phillips? Is Lagerbielke going to return out of nowhere after what Brendan Rodgers said? Or maybe Nawrocki? Who knows? But yeah, a bit of a concern right there in the back line to start, David.
I mean, I wouldn't have been too concerned about Nawrocki coming back in, but obviously there's something going on there in training that Rodgers is seeing that we aren't seeing, that isn't meriting getting ahead in Nat Phillips. I think Nat Phillips, he must be getting, that loan deal must be getting extended. Otherwise, I don't see like whether he's putting in more effort into training or not. You're surely going to play your boys that are going to be here long term over him. He's obviously trusted. Rodgers obviously trusts him. I think, yeah, he was a bit all over the place on Wednesday night, wasn't he? He's the kind of guy that's like, you know, like if you watch his highlight reels, not that there's much out there, but most of the time he's beating guys in the air. He looks commanding and strong. Don't see much of him playing with the ball. Even being in that Liverpool side, who are obviously very forward, you know, fast flowing football style that Jurgen Klopp likes to play. I don't think he even does much when he was getting a chance in their side to do that. It was more of the dirty, sort of not so attractive work. But if Cameron Carter-Vickers is fit, I would probably still rather stick with him. Although I do understand there is a concern about that plastic pitch, and maybe we can. I don't want to say run the risk, but we could maybe afford to keep him. You know, I don't want to lose him long term for the sake of playing a player that should be more than capable of playing against Kilmarnock. Although I don't want to be that disrespectful, because I know we took our eyes off the ball when we played them in the cup, and obviously it came back to bite us. So there is a threat there, but I think surely we can afford to give Cameron Carter-Vickers a rest to avoid that, you know, the risk of long-term injury for a boy that, you know, is relied upon by Jurgen Klopp to come in and do a job when his defensive partnerships aren't fit and firing. So would I like to see Cameron Carter-Vickers ahead? Yes. Obviously, always want Cameron Carter-Vickers in my starting 11. But if I'm not sure I'm willing to take the risk of a long-term injury, and I think we could afford to play Nat Phillips, and he'll be fine. He'll do fine. Surely to fuck.
Famous last words, perhaps. I hope not. Hope he does come through unscathed and he just, you know, and there's no issue. But yeah, Wednesday night was a bit of a worrying one, the way he was getting turned left, right, and centre by Hibs. But Liam, what have you made recently of brutally honest Brendan? We've talked about how Brendan Rodgers needs to stop being Brendan Light and find his bollocks a wee bit. He's been a bit snarky now in press conferences, post-match interviews, and yeah, he's just saying it the way it is. Is he sending a message to those above him? Is this, are we seeing history repeating itself like 2019 after why was signing another winger? Got a million wingers, and now he's saying things through the week like Nawrocki and Lagerbielke when he was asked, are they fit? Well, yeah. Why are they not in the team? Basically, they've got to show more. Obviously, the week on Wednesday night as well, after Mikey Johnston got a start, again, he was like, he needs to do more. He needs to grab the bull by the horns. He's 24 years old now. But yeah, the defensive thing, I say, we've brought in 2 centre-backs who combined fee, 7+ million we laid out for both of them, which in Celtic's world is quite a big spend. And yeah, as David says, he's playing a guy who is on loan until January. Is this a sign that Nat Phillips is going to get the loan extended? You've got to question why, because I say he's not been great up to now. But what have you made of, brutally honest, Brendan, this new face of his that's shown itself this season, where he's just kind of, is he a man that's just fucked off with it all essentially, or is he trying to send us a subtle message, or what's going on there, do you think, Liam?
It's not very subtle, is it? I mean,
no, blunt force trauma.
Timing's well off. I mean, that's Brendan. Don't show up now and say, you get it and all that. Fuck. I mean, any Celtic fan he could have spoke to would have told him at the beginning of the season what needed to be done. And now it's like we're all surprised because, he didn't get the signings he wanted. This was the one opportunity he had to put the foot down and get exactly who he wanted. Because he had the full fan base behind him. That was before the fan base was fractured, mind you. But he had the full fan base behind him at that point.
Yep.
It concerns me. See this talk about Phillips? Fuck, I've seen absolutely nothing. I was saying to Mark through the week, it was like a cross between Shane Duffy and John Joe Child, right? It's just, he does not seem suited for how we are playing. And the other thing that concerns me with Rodgers is this no showing up in training. Okay, so this guy's no showing up in training. This guy's no showing up on the park that are playing still get picked.
Yep.
You know, the Mikey Johnston thing, or David Turnbull. When's David, he scored some good games and he scored some penalties for us in that, but we've all had the conversations about Turnbull. He's really disappointed this season when he's had the opportunity to go and grab it by the horns and try and turn a game. He's nowhere near to be found, you know? And yeah, I see him being more like a Mikey Johnston type player, Turnbull and that as well. So what is he showing in training that Iwata wasn't he? You know, we see what happens when he puts somebody like Iwata into the team the other night. You know, he looked brilliant. He was like Baresi back there. You know, it was, but it wasn't a surprise to a lot of people because he didn't really do anything wrong. You know, to get that far back in the pecking order. So for Phillips, to me, I don't know. I mean, I think we might see a rise. So what's Kobayashi like in training? He didn't mention.
Yeah, he never comes up there at all. Even in any press conferences, he never gets a mention.
So I don't know. Does Rodgers throw a surprise or all of a sudden Kobayashi's in there if they aren't doing it for him? And if not, how long are we going to sit them out? Because as you said before, that's like £8 million of nearly £8 million sitting on the bench.
Yep.
You've played with Liga Warsaw, which was it Champions League last year? You know, he's played with that team for a while. He's played a lot of professional games. He's got the other one that's, well thought of in Sweden. Swedish Player of the Year last year. Played with a good side there. Yeah, it's like what they not showing. What they not showing in training that somebody like Phillips is. And yet, if you were to look at Phillips and what he's performed in actual game time, he's shite. He gives the ball away. He's always he looks like he's stretching out his arse to try and get it. And, and in the air, I've not seen anything commanding in Scotland the way he can do in England. And yeah, I think you're right. Shane Duffy 2.0.
Aye, it's a name that I've seen came up enough times. David, you've also just sent me a message. You need to run, unfortunately, don't you? You need to. Oh man, fair dues, mate.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry, guys. There's something's came up and I'm having to jump off.
That's
so
no worries,
I do
mate.
apologise. I'll hopefully be back on next week. I won't be on Sunday Blether either. So I mean, you'll enjoy Sunday viewers. But sorry guys, I've had a message and I'm going to have to shoot off. This
no worries.
Bit unexpected at the minute. Sorry guys. Have a good show. Good seeing you, Liam. Have a good enjoy the show, guys. See you.
No problem.
Later. Sorry.
Right, catch you later, David. Cheers, mate. See you, man.
Do you see that Brendan's turned up at the barbers?
Aye, that's it. Aye, after the pictures we saw the day, getting a wee making sure they got all the gym equipment in the background. Make sure you will everyone see in my private gym here, you know? So I did find that quite funny, but we were talking to David before we came on there about that one. But he does say that he follows that barber on Instagram, and yeah, he does post quite a lot of pictures with different footballers and managers. But there you go, Brendan getting a wee trim ahead of the trip to Killy. But just keep staying on the theme there about the ringing the changes and so on, about Brendan saying these things. Obviously in midfield, one that we discuss this every Friday that we're on. We talk about the jersey that's basically up for grabs because Hitate's obviously been injured. He's had a very injury-prone season so far. And yeah, that jersey's there to be won. Awata did not do himself any harm with his performance. He was a steady hand. He wasn't massively outstanding, but he came in and he didn't do anything massively wrong. So he was like, yeah, okay, that's great. That's kind of what you need, just a settled, influence in it, and also allowed Callum McGregor to play a bit different on Wednesday night. And we did, of course, see McGregor ping a beautiful pass for the 4th goal in the night. But McGregor did look like he was more, in the game as well, and that's been a huge problem. But surely Awata must be keeping his place then, Liam, for the game this weekend. You've got to imagine.
I like him. He's got the physicality for a team like Kilmarnock, and he's like a magnet. He's like Kyogo up front. His positioning is really good. His running off the ball is good, and he just looked like the ball was always coming to him. Either in the air he was winning a clean, or on the ground he was intercepting, or just being there at the right place when the ball broke. And so, yeah, I think that was good. I think we saw a bit better out of McGregor, and the whole team just seemed to gel, a little bit better at that extra bit of effort in the middle. Because one ball gets posted missing. That's a problem with the open play. Other than maybe taking a shot now and again, which is great at, but sometimes gets a bit Ryan Christie at times as well, or what next? I think Awata should definitely play. I think that's a cert right now. Awata, McGregor, O'Reilly.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I said that when I was talking on PMP the other week about just after the St Johnstone game, and I was on with Terry and Russell were discussing Awata because he came on as a sub and was pretty good that day. And it's like we're a year into it, but coming up to a year since Awata joined, and I'm a fan who genuinely can't tell you much about him because we haven't seen enough of him playing in his natural position. The only time he got a prolonged run in the team was at the tail end of last season where he had to play centre-back. And even though, he did, obviously it was, explained to us that when he played in Japan and he did win Player of the Year, he did play a few games at centre-back and he did have it in his riptide. But I don't think out in Japan they've got big cloggers, big hammer throws like Curtis Main up front for St Mirren, who that day completely ragdolled him. And that was also the game as well where him and Tony Ralston just ran into each other and just tripped over each other, which led to a St Mirren goal. But he did not obviously, have a good day. But at the same time, I still was like, well, I'm not gonna write him off. I know that he's playing in a position that isn't his natural position. But yeah, if we can get to see a prolonged run here, and if he can just be that steady sort of player in there until Hatate comes back, and hopefully when Hatate does come back, he hits the ground running, because for the fleeting appearances we've had of Hatate this season, he hasn't obviously reached the levels that we know he can reach. But for the time being, that shot is very much up for grabs. And yeah, as I say, Awata did himself no harm at all on Wednesday night. And of course, another midfielder as well that we need to talk about as well is Matt O'Reilly. Keeps up his fantastic season, scoring a headed goal as well. I thought he might be one of those guys that doesn't want to get that hair messed up or anything. It's like Stuart Armstrong 2.0. It's like, you won't see him messed up that hair. But no, he got a headed goal on Wednesday night. And again, another good performance from him. He's playing out of skin this season. I think but we're seeing the best of Matt O'Reilly now under Brendan Rodgers, and he's just so vital right now, isn't he? You look at the goal last weekend against St Johnstone, a game where we were struggling for long periods, Liam, but he just pings that one right in the top corner with his weaker foot, remember, because he is left-footed. And yes, scores a headed goal through the week and a pretty resounding performance. But yeah, again, with O'Reilly, we're running out of superlatives to talk about him, aren't we?
I mean, if you look at his goal highlight reel this year, it's spectacular. It's a goal for every part of the body, nearly every type of goal you can imagine he's scoring. I thought that header that he had was textbook. One of the in the Roy of the Rovers comments, when you're drawn, they're doing a perfect header into the corner, and he just came in, hit it, and brave, and everything. It makes a great goal, and the week before, the one where just wellied it right into the roof of the net, and that was his wrong foot.
Mhm.
See what he turns up with this week. I mean, we always need him.
Aye.
And I think O'Reilly's. Yeah, I think a boy's got an amazing career. It's just how long we can hold on to him. But I think I don't think he'd, and I think probably him being pals with Jota and all that. See what happens sometimes if you leave too early. You still get the money and that, but you never know what can happen out there. There's Jota no played a game since he left. Practically.
It's been a shambles of a move, that one, but I think I've got a funny feeling he might be linking up with a former Celtic Australian manager in the next couple of weeks when the January window opens. I just think it makes all the sense in the world that if he's available and he's not going to get any games for that team, then I can see Hans Postecoglou snapping them up for Tottenham. He's good enough to play in the Premier League, so fair play if Jota does end up there. But I know there was talk a few weeks ago about, we should try and get him back on loan or anything. I don't see Jota coming back here at all. I know he said all the right things in his going away speech and stuff like that, but I just can't see it happening. I'd like to be wrong on that. I mean, I would love to see Jota back, but I just have that feeling that ship has now sailed and he's thinking about going on to higher standard. The Saudi League would be deemed a higher standard, but look what's happened there. The grass isn't always greener. The money might be greener, but the grass isn't greener in this case because for whatever reason, he's not been registered to play out there. But anyway, on the subject of wingers, it's good that we've got on a nice wee transition there. But this is a name that's been on many Celtic fans' lips for the last week. Very divisive man. And we do, obviously, when we get to this point, we talk about the teams, we always kind of chuckle about it and go, will a wild Mikey Johnston appear? Well, a wild Mikey Johnston has been appearing recently, Liam. Because obviously came on last week against St Johnstone, did all right, all things considered, but given what he replaced, because Yang was, he was so offside. He was in another postcode last Sunday, honestly. It was ridiculous amount of times that he was getting caught. I mean, the goal that Tumble scored in the first half that got disallowed for offside, and when you see it gets called back and you see the replay and it's like 5 yards, it's offside. It's not even like marginally close. Maybe VAR might look at this and maybe we'll get it allowed. No, he was, as I say, he was in another postcode. So Yang, I'm going to assume that Brendan's scathing post-match comments, Yang's got to be one of the guys that he was talking about. And obviously Mikey Johnston did get the start on Wednesday. So I was at the game on Wednesday night, freezing, but I was there anyway. And he was okay, Johnson. Again, just serviceable. He wasn't outstanding. I don't think he was the worst player on the park. He was just there. And Brendan Rodgers didn't gaslight us in any way. In his post-match, he still kept up this no-nonsense sort of approach that he seems to have right now, where he was just like, he's got to do more. He's got to take the bull by his horns. And he did, of course, point out the fact he's 24. What I like to call it is Jesse Lingard syndrome, where Jesse Lingard was at Man United for years, and people kept saying how he's got potential and this and that, or how great player he's going to be. And it's like, he's 30 years old. There was a point where he was like 30 and people still talk about the potential he had. And it's like, is Mikey Johnston going to become our Jesse Lingard? Is he going to be like 29? And then we're still sitting there going, young Mikey Johnston, the potential he's got. Brendan Rodgers is perfectly right to point out that, look, he's 24 now. This isn't young. This isn't where you can just excuse him and go, he's a youngster. He's still learning. Should be obviously getting game time. So he's got to obviously take his chance. I think he will start again on Sunday. I think he will, because the options right now are Yang, who seems to be public enemy number one after last week, or James Forrest. So I just think we're going to need pace in behind. James Forrest ain't got much pace left, so I still think Mikey Johnston will get the nod. But of course, if he's having another ineffective game and Brendan Rodgers looks to that bench, Liam, it's only going to be James Forrest that can come on. It wouldn't be Yang, would it? After what's been said,
the Australian boy
Tilio. Could be Tilio. How does he do in plastic pitches? Just back from a long-term injury. How does he do?
But pitch is that bad. I mean, I don't know what the sort. I mean, I've played in plastic pitches and that, and it's not that bad like as what they used to be. I used to play the ones that were carpet and tap of concrete, but they're like half decent and shit. And I don't know, unless it's just completely rubbish. But I don't know. Trilio might be worth a shout. He used him as he got 30 a night.
He actually did, because the first appearance he made was basically just throw him on there, just hoping against Motherwell. But he did get some game time, of significant game time by his standards. again, with the Hibs game, it felt like at that point in the game had petered out a little bit. I think he came on when it was 4-0 or 4-1, but we were definitely 4 goals anyway that had been scored at that point. And he got a few touches here and there, but I think the whole team were just kind of sort of going through the motions by that point because the game was won. There didn't seem to be any real urgency near the end to, we need to go for another goal here. I think the point through him, but I mean, he could get thrown in there. But I'm just thinking with plastic pitches and players who've got injury problems just don't seem to go hand in hand with Celtic, and I'm just thinking, well, Tillio's just back off of a injury, but you never know. Maybe he will throw him in there. Maybe that will be a bigger wild card than the Mikey Johnston.
Well, when else is he going to get another opportunity? You know, I think we know what Forrest can do, and in fact, Forrest might be the best that we have right now in that position for now. You know, but again, you only get 60 minutes out of him, so put him on maybe for 60 minutes and then give Tillio another 30. And see how that works out.
Yeah,
you know, it's a shame Rocco Vat is no part of the plans. Yeah. You know, it looked like every sort of opportunity was there for a younger player to come in and try and do another Tierney or Aid McGeady and that, just so get somebody for the academy to come out and actually take an opportunity for once and run with it. And I don't know what happened. I heard like he wanted to play for the first team and didn't want to be loaned out. And honestly, some of the stuff we do is so fucking petty. You know, it's football first. It's even in training, there's some guys that are. George Best wasn't a good trainer, by all accounts.
Yep. Well, yeah.
There's a certain thing. When I played football, I was brilliant at training, but you know, they were nearly as good in an actual game. I could do anything, you know. But when you get to a real game and all that, no way I could play as good as I played in training.
Yeah.
You know, I think some players are just like that. It's like when you know, the creative stuff and all that. I hate rehearsing anything. I don't like rehearsing it because I like it to be, the way I work is it's spontaneous. You get yourself into a zone and you get yourself into that sort of persona and all that, and then you play football and that. You can't do it every single day, or then you get like imposter syndrome, or it just, you don't feel that. That's it, by the way. You know, so I think you have to look at every player differently and all that, and look at his talent. And for me, it's like being good at training doesn't win you points.
No, that's true.
But being shite on the park loses you points.
It does.
And, you know, and that, you know, guys like the Greg Taylors and the Phillips and the Turnbulls, I mean, great as training and what you like, but doesn't get you're just a good teammate, you know.
Aye. You only get one shot at it on the actual game day. You only get one go at it. You can't get any retakes, anything training. You can work on stuff, but yeah, it's when you go out there in the game, you've got one go at it, and if you make a mess of it, then that's it. The points are gone, or you're knocked out the cup, as we saw earlier in the season with that League Cup performance. It was a dismal display, and that's it. The treble was gone at the first hurdle. Not that the treble should be the benchmark this season. I know Brendan set a massively high standard the first time around. At the end of the day, I've always said that I would have sacrificed the League Cup anyway for the biggest prize, obviously, to win the league, and any of the cups on top of that are a bonus, because obviously this Champions League stuff is so vital. But then you look at the lack of ambition that we're showing in the Champions League, you begin to wonder, geez, what is the point? It's like we need, especially now that it's going to be an even bigger prize pot next season with the now revamped Champions League. It's like it's vital, obviously, we get in there, but again, it's like, well, we need to start behaving like a big club. And funny enough, we will, before the show's out tonight, we will briefly touch on, because we have, believe it or not, Liam, you might forget this, we have actually got a European game coming up in the very near future, next midweek. We'll have a wee quick chat on what we would do with that one, because, yeah, a bit of sort of food for thought, essentially, for Brendan, or what the priority is with that match, but we'll get to that in a few minutes. But obviously, with the forward situation, and again, like I said at the top of the show, usually it's always quite cut and dry, and this is one of the positions it usually is. Kyogo, obviously, is the guy that usually plays, but O did play and got 2 goals, and I felt he was pretty impressive on Wednesday night, and especially his second goal, where that wee bit of physicality just to brush that Hibs player off the ball, and his finish was fantastic, just bending around the keeper into the corner, and it was like, that's not too bad at all. And also a great pass for Callum McGregor. So, plastic pitch again, team of cloggers. Obviously, the last time we played them, we didn't have any ideas up front. could O be the difference? Could he be that X factor where it's like, right, because you've got to imagine the wintry conditions are going to be a factor as well. We played them in August. It was still the summer, although summer in Scotland is a bit subjective at times. But obviously, it's going to be wintry conditions. It's going to be an even worse surface than usual. There might be a few moments where we might need to adapt to the conditions and maybe actually play a long ball here and there. I know, heaven forbid, Brendan Rodgers' team playing a long ball, but we might need to. We might find yourself in that position. Target man like O, who seems to be not afraid to put it around, could be the thing that can be the difference here, couldn't it?
What I liked about O in the last game was like Giamakis used to do when they were taking corner kicks, which is their kryptonite right now. O was back there defensively getting a head on the ball and that as well, and that as well. And I thought, okay, that's what we don't get that for Kyogo. You can't expect that for the wee man.
Yeah.
I think Rodgers has to find a way to get the two of them on the team. And against that's an excellent opportunity, especially if we're looking to see if we've not really got that winger established as well.
Yeah.
You know, and so, okay, so maybe you've got like a front three or even put a Kyogo on the wing. But I think, you have to start O doing the middle and see how we can do there. You know, and the other thing as well, shifting to three at the back as well to get O on. That's another thing could be worth trying as well. I think Brendan's just way too attached to this formation right now. It just gives results, and we don't seem to have all the players necessary to fulfil those positions. You know, at optimum, performance levels, because that's missing right now. We are weak on that wing. So find a way to get Kyogo and O on there. But if it's just between the two, given this one, I think let Kyogo just give him 30 minutes at the end or 20 minutes at the end of the game. To get in there and get himself back, get a wee bit of confidence maybe. Hopefully at that point we're up and we're having a goal fest and we're coming everywhere. I like this Mitchell frame. It's coming up for you. And I think some of the other people posted it as well. I don't know much. I haven't really followed the B team this year.
Well, you don't want to. I think looking at the results, I don't even want to follow the B team, to be honest.
So I don't know. I'd love to see maybe someone like him coming on, and see what he can do at that position, because it should be Greg Taylor.
Well, speaking of Greg Taylor, first of all, we'll deal with this one. It came in from Eurotube. What a name. I know Russell highlights that as well, but that's a great name. But he's not calling us a tube, hopefully. But yeah, Eurotube has said, is Kyogo off form or does Brendan's system not suit? Well, he has obviously. I just think he's went off form. I mean, I know at the start of the season, people were picking up on things like him dropping a bit deeper, but he was still scoring goals. He was still a crucial part of the team, but it just feels like he just hit a bit of a blip. And maybe a wee bit of time on the sidelines might give him that fire in his belly. So when he does get a chance again, he really, he's out to prove a point. But I just think at the moment he's just off form because he was scoring goals early in the season in that system. So that's what I'll put it down to. Liam, what about yourself? Off form, or is it the system that's basically ruining Kyogo right now?
Hello.
William, did you stop there, mate?
I think system.
The system.
I think it's the system. I think with the system with Kyogo. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Although your picture is a bit picture's a bit ropey just now, but I can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
I think it's the system right now with Kyogo. I think usually when you see Kyogo, he needs, he gets 4 or 5 chances a game, and he'll miss a few.
Yeah, he doesn't hide as well. He does miss a few chances, but aye.
Yeah, but he's not even missing. He's not even getting the opportunity to miss chances now, and that's it. And you can see him throwing the hands up in the air now. He's getting pissed off because people aren't recognising some of his runs and all that.
Yeah.
I think he just needs. We need to find a way how to play with him better, and that's Rodgers' job. It's like, okay, you've got a player here, and he is a proper player. Use him. If you can't figure a way how to use him, it's like, what's the sense coming back? He's the striker you have right now, and he's a good one. So, playing Turnbull and stuff like that, and expecting to, him to play on, latch onto balls and all that. I don't know. Find a way to get the midfield shored up so that there's balls coming through and that he's getting a chance to run on or get in behind defenders, because we're not seeing any of that right now. And we're not taking any chances, and that's Kyogo. He'll take a few chances, but he'll bury one. He's not getting any chances, so that's definitely
Yeah, it's fair, dude. But Celtic has asked, would you play Taylor or Ralston at left back? Because Ralston did come on through the week to play at left back late in the game. But I seen Mark saying last night on the TNF he thought Ralston in that short time was a better left back than than Greg Taylor. I just think the thing that will go against Ralston, and why I think it will still be Taylor, is he doesn't have a left foot basically to operate, because Brendan Rodgers he likes his fullbacks to get forward. Taylor's not very good at getting forward at times and tends to pass it back most of the time. But obviously you want to cross that ball in, and with Ralston not being left-footed, it's obviously going to be a hindrance to him. But defensively, though, if it's a case of can he do a better job defensively than Greg Taylor right now, because Taylor does get targeted, he does get pinpointed. What do you think? Ralston, an out of position Anthony Ralston, a better option than Greg Taylor? I think I know your answer to this already, Liam. What do you think?
Off in a minute, in an absolute minute. I mean, there's probably boys like Lagerbielke or something that can play in that part of the field as well, and could have played at left back. And I think that's what always creates disharmony in a team, is when you see somebody that's not a very good player being the first name in a team sheet every week and getting a full 90 minutes. You're like, fuck, I can play left back. I mean, it's not that hard. If you look what's involved in Taylor, you don't need a left foot. Well, Taylor doesn't, because he doesn't get into the byline and cross balls in. But look at the ball Anthony Ralston put in. So he played, 20, 30 minutes in that position. And at one point, I seen him win headers in the air. I seen him win a few tackles. And then at one point, he took the ball down the wing and he cut and he floated in an absolute cracker in for... and they just, I think we're just slightly off it. But it was a really good ball into the middle. And so... if he doesn't have a left foot, what he's doing on his left foot is far more what Taylor can do with both feet. And I watched this press. The kid enrages me. I don't know. I've got some sort of psycho thing going on where I feel bad even trying to comment on Greg Taylor because I know it's going to be negative. But it's just, for me, it's an obvious. Like, how can Brendan do that? When I see that, I go, fuck Brendan. Like, look at him. This guy's got so much confidence. He has got so much. He's so comfortable playing in the team. I watched him in that press conference say, "Oh yeah, look, he'll be starting, at that position." And he was talking about if he'd be in Scotland for the Euros and all that. And it's like, Chris, once he leaves Celtic, he's going to. I can't see him even playing with anybody. He'll go to Kilmarnock, finish up there at Ayr United or something. Not going to a big team. There's nobody queuing up to sign Greg Taylor. But I think Ralston's a hard-working player. I think he's really honest. I think he gets the head down. He doesn't let us down. Taylor's let us down fucking plenty of times. And 2 weeks in a row, the exact same way. Was it say, being an idiot is like trying the same thing the same way and expecting a different result.
Yeah, well, 2 weeks in a row as well, where he was. I know Joe Hart obviously could do better at both of the goals. The Motherwell and St Johnstone goals, there's a common denominator there of the Celtic player that's standing in front of Joe Hart both times when he's static on his line, and it was Greg Taylor. But it seems like Joe Hart positions him that way as well. It's like, oh, jeez, man, this is. That's what it is. Just a whole mess, those two goals, when you look at them as a whole. But yeah, Greg Taylor is in about both of them as well.
Well, you always hear as well for the players, like how the most vocal guy in there is Greg Taylor. Now it's Johnson. And it's something like, Jesus Christ, see the guys with the big moves? They should just shut the fuck up and play. See if Taylor was playing in a team, Taylor's in there shouting at us and this, and I'm the main guy. You give him a slap. I just don't understand it. But I guess that's it. The old days when you got all Scottish players playing in a team, or like Lennon's old team or something, you wouldn't open your mouth, Imagine them opening their mouth in one of O'Neill's. Could you see Greg Taylor playing for Martin O'Neill? No.
No, definitely not.
There's
my word.
Dan Petrov and Bobo Baldi. They're talking, throwing each other about change room because he got a draw. No, and Albion comes in and starts getting it all in the mouth.
Oh God, that dressing room with their personalities, no, not a chance. Oh no, definitely no. The very thought of it though is quite funny. I'm not gonna lie, just visioning that in my head right now, he'd get bullied so badly off of Sutton and all that Thompson with some of the patter that they used to throw out there. They would terrorise him. They really would. But I definitely wouldn't. But I've got another question that came in from the viewers as well. Another topical one this week. We've not had our say on this one yet, but obviously there has been some talk, Liam, that we're linked with a striker, an SPFL-based striker. Majowski of Aberdeen's name has been doing the rounds again. It's a name that I've said on the bus before that if I was going to pick somebody from the other SPFL teams, because we can't sign anybody from Rangers, not that we would want to anyway, because they're garbage. But Majowski's name is one that comes up. The other one's obviously Shankland as well, but as I've said before, I do think Shankland would probably score goals for us because we have a lot of the ball and make a lot of chances, but I don't think he wants to play for us as the bottom line, put it that way. I think the clues are there, to be honest, so let's not entertain that one. But Majowski, I've been, an advocate for that one. Obviously, the price that's doing the rounds is a bit like, don't know about that. But then again, I think he would do all right for us. I know some people look at it and go, Macedonia, but football's changed. Times are changing. Like 10, 15 years ago, you linked a player for Macedonia, you'd be like, what? A wee minnow nation, essentially. That's what they feel like because they don't do anything. But Macedonia have qualified for the Euros recently. And then you look at it as well. I was blown away by this when I looked at the Euros qualifiers for next summer. Like a country like Albania won their group. They actually topped their qualifying group. So, as I say, times are changing. Nations that 10, 15 years ago you wouldn't even entertain the notion of looking at. Suddenly, there are players that are coming through. Say Macedonia qualified for the last Euros. They beat Italy in the World Cup qualifiers in 2022. I believe Majowski does start for them, and they play teams like Italy and England in their qualifying group this year for the Euros. So he is getting recognised at that level. So I don't think you should turn their nose up at the fact that Macedonia, what are signing players for there for? You just don't know where some of these gems are going to come from. Would he transition and play well at Celtic if he did get a chance for us? Again, I think we make a lot of chances in games. We've got a lot of the ball. He has scored a fair few goals against Rangers as well. Remember, for Aberdeen, he has actually got a decent record against them. I think he would do okay for us, but I do think the price at the moment is a bit of a sticking point. But at the same time, I understand why Aberdeen would be asking for that. They will want to get the most value that they can. And here, of course, is Celtic, who, as we know, Liam, have been bragging about, we are rich, we have got lots of money, spreadsheet CSC. We've kind of advertised it. So when we do go knock into these teams, like, they'll be like, okay, 4.5 million, 5 million. It's like, well, we can't say, we don't have the money because we've been advertising it all the time that, we've got so much cash. But what about you, Liam? What do you think of Majowski if this deal has any traction? Do you think it'll happen? And do you think we'll get him at that price?
I think, we've got the money, we can't afford it, but I think we've already got a Majowski. He's just out on loan. Haksabanovic. Look at the goals he scored last year in Scotland, and you put them up against Majowski's. Very, very similar looking player, and he liked to play up front as well as a striker. He play in the wing. Now, I don't know what happened to him in the last couple of games of the season last year. He just sort of fell out with everybody at the squad, but I always thought there was a player there. He's at Stoke now, but I see similarities in the way they play between Haksabanovic and him, and it's a similar type player. They both play with Bhoys. Is it Bosnia he plays with, the other one, or?
He is Montenegro. Montenegro he plays for, but it's one of those countries that used to make up Yugoslavia, basically. But yeah, he's Montenegro.
Well, it's like that, North Macedonia. It's Bulgaria. Anyway. Oh yeah, you don't let them forget that over there, right? Bollocks. I'd like to see us go with the Danish boy that we're after?
Oh, Vestgarden, yeah, Brøndby striker, yeah.
The Brøndby. If we're going to pay the money, like again, it doesn't matter if you're throwing 5 or 6 million at somebody if they're crap. If you can get somebody for 7 that you actually know might be actually quite good and has a much more investment, I'd go for somebody like that because again, I think it gives us another potential. We're still trying to get, Giacomakis type forwards, like Chris Sutton. especially if we start going 2 up front to give, options with Kyogo, that would still work, in the plan of things if you're to play 2 up front. Miovski, I think it looks good, but if you made it comparative to what Haksabanovic did last year, I think they look very, very similar. And where's Haksabanovic now? Stoke.
No, well, that's true. But we'll wait and see what happens, Alan, because we do need a striker brought in, because the forward planning at Celtic seems to have been thrown out the window, because obviously this Asia Cup's coming up in January. They're equivalent to the European Championships. We would expect that Kyogo and O will both go, so we don't have a registered striker. And yes, I do believe that the only games that would be missed would be the league game against St Mirren and the cup game against Buckie Thistle at the end of January. So the league game against St Mirren, I've said it before on the show recently, we can't just look at that and go, we'll be fine. It's only St Mirren. We'll play a game without a registered centre forward. We'll just play somebody else through the middle, like Abada or something. I know Abada's played there before. It's one of these ones I don't think you should really be taking a chance. I would rather have somebody that is an actual forward. But that, of course, Liam, would involve the board having to announce somebody pretty much on January the 1st when the window opens. I believe it'll be January 1st, but it's January the 3rd we play St Mirren. We would have to have a new striker basically in the door pretty much as soon as the Rangers game ends on December the 30th, something lined up. We did that a couple of years ago when Ange was in charge. We had 3 players basically announced before the window even opened. Are the Celtic board going to do that again? Probably not with the way things are, but we'll just need to play that one by ear as we get closer to the time regarding that one. Before we move on though, Liam, just really quickly, because we didn't obviously touch on it. Kilmarnock at the weekend, what's your score prediction then down at Rugby Park?
I think we're doing that. Since we both got it right the last time around, Phil, I'll go for another 3-1.
3-1. I said 2-0 last time, so I did get a 2-goal margin, but both were 2-goal margins. By 3-1, you were bang on. Do you know what? I'm going to stick with the 2-0 as well. I've been using 2-0 quite a lot recently. It's just a scoreline, but at this point, it'd be amazing if we go down there and just absolutely tan them. But to me, the performance right now is just we just need to get through these games. They're coming thick and fast right now, and it's just about getting the points on the board, because this is one of these weekends where we're not playing ahead of Rangers. We've been quite fortunate this season in the way things have went that we've actually been playing before them a lot, but this is one of these weekends where we are not. They've got a home game at Ayrshire. I don't know who they're playing, so I would fully expect them to get the 3 points on the Saturday. And we are obviously down Rugby Park on Sunday lunchtime, so we just need to make sure that we push them back like we were doing last season when they got to play in front of us and they got that wee buzz for 24 hours. 3 points, they pulled it back a wee bit, then we would just go out the next day and just push them back into position. But fingers crossed that we get it done. And also Sam Fan Celtic's asking who's the ref. Don't know, take your pick. Could be any of them. They're all rubbish, every single one of them. They've all got their deficiencies, and we know what those deficiencies are. I don't know. We'll find out obviously on the day, but I don't expect any great performance from whoever the man in the middle is. The Liam, I said earlier on, we might as well touch on it just briefly then, because we probably won't get a say on it before it happens. But we have got one more Champions League game coming up this midweek against Feyenoord at Celtic Park. Where do your priorities lie with this one? Because obviously Celtic have got now, and it's amazing to say this because I remember the good old days when we were a fortress, but Celtic's record at home right now is abysmal, and regardless of it being a dead rubber, there is a part where you're like, we need to get some sort of just win again, just to, especially at home, just to get something again out of this group stage, even though it's going to mean nothing. But we're in the midst of a very busy run of fixtures. We've got some injury problems anyway. We've got a big game with Rangers looming in a couple of weeks. What would you do if you're Brendan Rodgers? Do you still go for it and try and make sure you get the win, or do you take it a bit more like, look, it's gone. If we lose, we lose. It's not going to change anything. And play a more... You can't play a full second string team because of who's registered and whatnot, but basically giving guys like maybe Tillio gets a start. Oh, is he registered? I don't even know. He probably isn't. Let's be honest, he was injured, wasn't he? Navrosky, can he play? He's not registered. Maybe Lagerbielke comes back and gets a game. Maybe Nat Phillips starts that one as well. What would you do, Liam, with this one?
I think we have to concentrate in the league.
Mm-hmm.
But again, you've got people that have paid good money for the tickets and are going up to see a Champions League football game with Celtic in it. So you've got that responsibility to your fan base.
Mm-hmm.
You go half and half. I think we'll probably somebody like Phillips starting in that one, definitely. Guy Carter-Vickers' arrest, sit him out. I don't think him for that. And then the rest of it, well, you said, despite the guys that can't play, go on and get a run. If by no means throw in the towel or anything like that, but this is an opportunity for people to play their way onto the team. And I think that becomes good man management at that point. Like, okay, you're getting a Champions League game experience in front of the Champions League crowd, in front of the audience, on television, the whole thing. Here's an opportunity for you to go and make a name for yourself. Is that Mikey last grasp at the chalice, whatever you call it, or the rings?
The brass ring.
Maybe that's it. Maybe that's the last time, right? You've got a Champions League game to go out and prove yourself. And hopefully that sort of motivation is enough for us to keep it competitive and keep the fans paid a hard-earned cash to go and see it, happy as well that they've seen something. But I don't like when you throw out experimental teams. But Ange had no problem doing that. I mean, he threw out when we played Real Betis.
We did. We did put a second-string team. We beat them that night.
And I think Walsh was probably one of the most experienced players we had on the park. I thought he played absolutely brilliant. I think Scales also played in that game and played really well. Liam Scales on that side.
That's right.
And so I think it comes down to the man management. If you can motivate your team to go out there on Champions League night, and how can you not? Go out and give us a performance in that, and this is an opportunity. And it's all about opportunities right now, and the amount of people and players right now that are pushing them away. It's like we're looking like we need wholesale changes in January because there's nobody that's grabbing that position other than Palmer, and I think Water,
Yeah, definitely both things. I'll be there on is it Wednesday night, Tuesday night, but basically this coming midweek I have obviously got it'll be Wednesday night. If we're playing on the Sunday, it's going to be Wednesday. But yeah, obviously I'm a season ticket holder and I do the home cup ticket scheme, so I have no choice in the matter. They basically took the money out of my account a month in advance as part of the home cup ticket scheme. So now I feel obligated that I need to be there because it's like, I remember years ago we played Villarreal in a group stage game when it was a dead rubber, and we won the game on the night, and it was fine for what it was, but it was a glorified friendly. But I think right now with that, I can see a rationale because we are in such a bad run in Europe that we need to get something just to try and save a bit of face. I understand obviously with the league title race and whatnot, but I do think we can't just go out there and allow ourselves to be rolled over and get beat heavily. We need to try and get something just to get this monkey off the back of our home record being pretty much as bad as our away record right now, which is, again, blows my mind when you think about it, because I remember all the years when no teams were coming to Celtic Park and getting a result in Europe, and nowadays they all just turn up and just make off with the 3 points and talk about their great experience at Celtic Park while taking all sorts of selfies while they're there. So I'd like to see us at least have something to cheer for at the end of this one, because it's been a wasted opportunity, I would say. When I looked at that group when it was drawn, maybe I was a bit naive in thinking, but I did look at it and went, well, I think all the teams are capable of taking points off each other. I think it's a quite evenly balanced group. I think if we can stay in the race till the final game, we've got a chance of having European football at the end of it all. And sadly, that boat had sailed by the fifth game. It was gone. Although there was a point where every single game, it felt like Liam was, it's win or bust. This one's win or bust. So it's now officially bust. That's it. We are officially out of Europe, and Feyenoord have officially qualified third, so they've got a Europa League spot. So they've even got nothing to play for as well. So we'll see what obviously we see next Wednesday. But yeah, we could do with just getting a win on the board just to get that monkey off the back, because the longer it goes, it's going to become a thing that keeps getting reminded every time a game comes around. Just like the knockout thing, we've not won a knockout game after Christmas since 2004. So that's going to go on for another. It's been 21 years now. And the chances of us having knockout football next season after Christmas is going to be even harder because of the newly revamped format of the Champions League. So who knows when Celtic will get a chance to sort that one out. But for the time being, we need to try to get back to some kind of winning ways in Europe. So we'll see what next Wednesday brings. But today, Liam, before we finish up, because there's no quiz tonight, because I say you've done it already and you're sitting top of the table, 9 out of 10, so you don't need to do any quiz on anything. But few minutes to go. It is Friday night after all, and you and I are on screen. And what would Friday night be for a wee bit of time traveling, a wee bit of looking back in history? And of course, many of us will be aware, especially on Twitter today, because there is the account is at Lil Z. They always post it on this day in Celtic history. Every day he's relentless with videos. Today he posted an absolute belter. 8th of December. Do you know what today is the 4-year anniversary of, Liam?
4-year anniversary.
4 year to this day.
Signed Greg Taylor.
We did sign Greg Taylor that season, but that wasn't. Greg Taylor wasn't playing in this game, I don't think, but he was a Celtic player at this point. We beat Rangers in that League Cup final 4 years ago today. The one where I think all of us wanted to hide behind the couch because, I mean, I was in the stadium for it. And it was, I swear, it felt to me like the clock was going back the way at times when I'd look at the clock and it'd be like, I swear to God, it was like 70 minutes and it's saying 60 minutes. I was like, what the hell's going on here? It was one of the most uncomfortable games, but my God, Liam, one of the most satisfying wins when we got that full-time whistle, because the thing that always stood out for me with that one at the full-time celebrations was the lack of respect Celtic showed them, just the contempt, where it was like there was no handshakes, there was no picking them up off the ground and patting them on the back saying, oh, lucky Rangers. No, there was none of that. The full-time whistle went and Scott Brown and all the players, they just legged it towards the Celtic fans, just absolutely lapping it up while the Rangers players stood. And they were shell-shocked. They were absolutely distraught. They could not believe, and to be fair, as a Celtic fan, I could not believe that we had just put in that performance and somehow we had won. But what a day, Lee. What a day. What's your memories of watching that one? I think you watched it in a bar in Canada.
No, I watched it in Bulgaria, that one.
Bulgaria, that one, okay.
Yeah, watching that one. I think the reason they legged it, I think they just wanted to get Forster on the bus and dressed in that in case it was a test. I mean, what was he like that day? He was like that old Carlsberg ad with the dam busters, with the guys grabbing all the balls and stuff, and he was unbelievable that day, and I love a good caper. I like good robbery movies and all that, and that was one. You had all the different players. It was Ocean's 11. That was us. We were that day, and
Lenny's 11. It was Lenny's 11, mate.
And Big Fraser was George Clooney for the day.
He actually was. He was unbelievable that day. But yeah, it was. And the thing was, like, I've used this before as an example. That is also the game where I think a key moment in Mikey Johnston's Celtic career happened, because we've talked about him tonight. Obviously, he's finding himself getting starts now for Celtic in 2023. But I think he'd be viewed in a much better light had he managed to keep his balance in that one-on-one chance. We're 1-0 up at that point. We're down to 10 men, but Rangers obviously still throwing everything forward. We catch them on the counter-attack so beautifully. Mikey Johnston's got the freedom of Glasgow running through the whole half, the Celtic end at Hampden, to just pick his spot, and at the last second, and it was absolutely chucking it down that day. The rain was relentless, and he loses his footing at the last second, because I was in the stadium, my mate Marty, and we watched, obviously looking at it, and as he's through on goal, I'm still keeping my eyes on the park, but I'm grabbing him at my side, like shaking him, because I know he's going to score here. This is it. Get ready. I'm clinched. I'm ready to celebrate. I think he's going to do it, and then he just slips at the last second, and that's just not adding. That's just adding to the anxiety, Liam. Where, because I say we're already at a point where, if we get a second goal here, that's it. But it's still 1-0. There's still like 20 minutes on the clock, and you're like, oh my God, this is an absolute torture, this game. But that was there you go, a sliding door moment, as San Fran Celtic described it. I think if he does score that, he's got a winning goal effectively in a cup final against Rangers. Of course, you can't compensate or you can't account for injuries can still happen and still ruin a player's career. But I think how he's viewed by a lot of Celtic fans when you've got that on your CV does give you a bit more credit in the bank, doesn't it, Liam?
Well, look at Tony Watt. Tony Watt can still probably go anywhere in Glasgow and get a pint bottle, no matter who's played with over the years, like that. Yep. I'll remember him for that goal. If he'd have slipped in the arse or something like that, nobody would have talked about Tony Watt after that. I was like, I nearly made it and that. But that guy will always be recognised for that goal against Barcelona. I think makeup. That's the metal that they talk about. That's the confidence players have. The good players are the ones that don't slip. The good players are the ones and you know, he's playing on a good park and all that. Like, he's got the proper studs and all that. So what is it? Your balance is off. You're too excited. Your nerves. You know, the good players put them away, and that shows you right away. You know, you might be dealing with a guy's nearly there, but just have that extra wee thing that pushes you over the edge and makes you a really, really good player. Because, you know, he's got bags of skill and all that, but he just doesn't have that one wee thing to have that bit of composure just before you hit the ball, or just, you know, that find the composure when that opportunity comes to you, and you know, and you just have to put it on target, or find the man that's open in the box. He's to panic at the last minute. He does everything great leading up to it, but that point he has to make a decision if he's going to shoot, pass, or whatever seems to fail him. And I think that's, you know, it's a pretty good indication of what we were going to get for Johnston. And I mean,
well, you got to remember the volume is with him growing up a Celtic fan, and you put yourself in his position. I mean, at that point he would have been in his teens. I know Brendan's obviously highlighted that he's 24 now, so he would have been 19, maybe 20 at that point. Young lad, Celtic fan, playing Rangers, a cup final, you're through one-on-one. Sometimes some players react better when they've not got time to think, but that is one of those situations where he had a lot of time to think, and that can be a bad thing for some players. And you've got to imagine what's going through his head as he's running through and goal. He's probably already he's probably envisioning the Tony Watt moment, thinking, this is my Tony Watt moment, this is it. You know, he's through, and just to say this, the footing got away from him at the last side. He tries to bend it round McGregor, and he obviously tries to put too much of a bend on it and just completely loses his footing. And well, it could have been. But of course, we did still get away with that, as you say, absolute heist of the century. Dale Robbery, and the goal was onside, by the way. Don't let them tell you otherwise. Like Julian at the back post, finishing it brilliantly, and then that knee slide. Oh man, the best. It's added to the fact that it's like soaking wet, which just adds to it. But it's absolutely phenomenal, the knee slide, and he just transitions right back into getting up. It's like it's so seamless the way he does it. Knee slide right back up onto his feet, and then runs along the Celtic fans at the front at Hampden, and it's just what a moment. And it was just one of the most satisfying ones. I mean, say that was 10 domestic trophies on the bounce. We'd go on to win 12 domestic trophies on the bounce, if you want to count it that way. And that was number 10. And out of all the ones we'd won in that era, that was probably the most satisfying one. It was a hell of a torturous one to sit through, but my God. But 4 years ago today, Liam. 4 years ago today. Where does time go? But it was a good one. I saw that this morning. I was like, I'll need to mention that tonight, as this is the anniversary of it, because it's a classic, a sort of like recent classic, essentially, that many Celtic fans, one of them, they could tell you where they were and their emotions during it, like the JFK assassination or something. Where were you when this happened? Where were you when Celtic shithoused their way to the League Cup in 2019? What were you doing? What was your emotions? So everyone can remember it that vividly. But that's us. We've done another Friday feeling. That's an hour and 3 minutes that we've done. At the start of the show, I did obviously ask a question. I thought we'll try and solve it together as a collective. As I said on Wednesday, Johnson and Johnson started together. That's probably the first time in a long time that two players with the same second name have started. So we'll try to figure out who's the last time that happened. But I think he could be right on Brown and Brown, Mark Brown and Scott Brown. I've got a feeling that they probably started a game together during Stratton's era. The only other ones that might have came up, and I don't think they started a game together, would be, remember the Twarzik brothers, the two Czech boys that we had under Neil Lennon, but I don't think they ever started games together, just came on as subs here and there. Philip and Patrick Twarzik. I don't think they did. So, if anyone wants to leave a comment after the video below, if you can think of any, but we think it may be Mark Brown and Scott Brown will be the last time the two players of the same second name started a game together for Celtic, after Johnson and Johnson did it on Wednesday night. Funny enough, Johnson & Johnson, was that the name of one of the pharmaceutical companies with the COVID vaccines, wasn't it?
Bill.
Aye.
You ever have two Dembélés on?
Oh, did Musa? I don't think Karamoko had broke into the team. But he got a game under Lenny at the end of the season. Lenny came in as caretaker. He began playing, but Musa was gone by then. But we did have. I don't think they got on the party. They definitely start together, because Dembele didn't start a game until I think the COVID, the behind closed doors season. But that's a shout. Dembele's got a common name, but no, we've not had that one. So we'll go for Brown and Brown at the moment. But yeah, there might be another one that we're forgetting. But anyway, we're done. David did join us at the very start, but he had to run. He had to go and sort something out. So maybe Brendan Rodgers turned up for a haircut. Who knows? But yeah, Liam, that's another Friday feeling in the book. So we'll be what, 4 o'clock in the morning when you're watching the game on Sunday?
Aye, another 4 in the morning one.
Yeah, another 4 a.m. one. Yeah. But yeah, that's I mean, fair play to you, man. Hardcore, mate. Just getting up there. You say you enjoy it anyway. You love those ones more than, say, if it's 7 o'clock your time. The 4 o'clock ones are better.
See, to the pub at 3:30 in the morning is the most bizarre feeling ever. Night creatures will tell you that. You know, I heard at that time in the morning, but it's well worth it. And usually, just that time in the morning, we used to get 5 or 6. You know.
It's fair play, man. Says the dedication, man. It knows no bounds. But hopefully, we're celebrating another Celtic victory weekend, and PMP will be on after it anyway with Russell and Terry. So look out for that. And of course, if you haven't subscribed yet, obviously hit the subscribe button and hit the bell notification. You will be reminded when PMP is on. And yeah, folks, we will catch you later. Enjoy your Saturday, whatever you get up to, and Sunday, as I say, hopefully another Celtic victory and keep our lead at the top of the table. We'll catch you later, guys.
Done.